we are always trying to talk with the customers, so for example, 2 months ago, I literally called 20 customers and they were like, Bernardo? and I talked to them. So I'm always trying to research like what they want. Because at the end of the day, we serve them, right? We serve them and we serve the instructors. So
that's smart. Not a lot of people do this.
Yeah, so we try to do whatever the customers want us doing. And then one thing we noticed is that they would love to have more interaction with the instructors. So then I was like, why don't we run camps? And we bring the customers and we bring the instructors, and we create content.
Brando, hey, let me tell you the truth. It's not about who you know, but who knows you. Brando, it's your story. You can rewrite it if you so choose. It's your life. You decide those moves. Brando, you want to talk about getting the bag. He built a 7-figure brand from scratch. Brando, it's the Brand Up Podcast, but you already know. Enough talking, bro. Let's start this show. Brando.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Brand Up Podcast. Before we jump into the actual episode, if you're enjoying the topics and strategies that you're listening here on the show, I wanted to share with you that I just opened up a few applications for the Brand Up Accelerator program. So if you're looking to take your brand to the next level, or if you're struggling to separate your personal brand from your business, or maybe you're trying to integrate it in your business and get more exposure, or if you're simply just searching for effective ways to build an actual client acquisition system, this accelerator is perfect for authors, business owners, and coaches and online entrepreneurs. So head over to www.brandupaccelerator.com to learn more and apply now. And now let's go back to the episode.
Brand up.
What's going on, everyone? Today I have a super guest, and his name is Bernardo Faria. And Bernardo, first of all, thank you so much for being here, brother. Really appreciate you coming in person. We're actually recording this in person here in Somerville, Mass, close to Boston. And it's funny, the way that I got introduced to you, so I just started training jiu-jitsu less than 8 months ago.
Okay.
And my business mindset, the first thing that I do every time when I want to learn and I want to master something quicker than the regular person, I try to either look for mentorship, I try to look for online courses, I try to look for any kinds of private one-on-one coaching. And then, of course, after a couple privates at the gym that I'm training at, then I was like, let me look online and see what other courses I could buy. And then I landed on your platform, BJJ Fanatics, and then I started going course up. I started buying course after course after course. So then I started, my marketing, I'm geeking out this stuff. And I started looking at, oh man, you guys are actually, you're not just a jiu-jitsu competitor and the guy that really loves the jiu-jitsu community and actually helps the entire community, both on the consumer side and the athletes side of things. But you also know marketing to a really deep level. So I really love to have this conversation with you on the show. So again, welcome to the podcast. I'm happy to dive into what you guys been building for the last 5 years.
We started in the very end of 2014, so close to 8 years almost.
Yeah. All right. So walk me through. How did you come up with the idea? I know we were chatting right before the episode started, and there was a lot of things that you were kind of having to figure out yourself. And I relate with you a lot on that scenario, because you do have to learn all of these things yourself before you can outsource it.
Yep.
So I'll let you take over. Walk me through. So, all right, you were still competing when you decided to build a platform, or you were done competing at that point?
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for the invitation here, Marian. Appreciate it. And I love jiu-jitsu people, and I love jiu-jitsu people with entrepreneurial mindset, because I love talking about this stuff. I feel almost like doing jiu-jitsu here. You show me your techniques, I show you my techniques,
and should have brought some sort of mat.
And we brainstorm ideas and that kind of stuff. So I really enjoy this. The way everything started was back in 2014. I was back then 27 years old or 28 years old. And I came from a family in Brazil, which was very traditional type of family, meaning all my 2 brothers, all my cousins, everybody in my family, they either become either doctor or engineering or dentist or lawyer. It's always something very traditional. So when I decided that I would do jiu-jitsu, I started jiu-jitsu when I was 14 years old. And when I was 15 or 16 or so, I was completely hooked. And I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. So when I told that to my family, they all got completely like crazy about it, and they were like, "What are you doing?"
Crazy in a bad way.
In a bad way, yeah, because they didn't believe in that sport, and this sport is growing right now. But 20 years ago, it was really, really small. There was no money involved, and this and that. But I really had a lot of passion for jiu-jitsu, and I really loved jiu-jitsu, and I couldn't see myself doing any other thing, like. So took a long time until I really convinced my family that could pay off. But my dad forced me to do college, and then I did college for business. And then as soon as I finished the college, I moved to São Paulo to train the best jiu-jitsu school in the world at that time, which was Alliance. And then from there, I went to US. And then, but the bottom line of this story is that I always had in my mind that only training jiu-jitsu would not be enough. Like I would need to either open a school someday or do something else jiu-jitsu related. And my idea was to open a jiu-jitsu school, as everybody does. And I was really trying to learn as much as I could about that.
The business side of things.
The business side of the jiu-jitsu school. And at São Paulo, Fábio Gurgel, which was my instructor, he was really good at that. So I was really talking with him a lot, studying this and blah, blah, blah. But I always had this entrepreneurial mindset that I would need to become even more entrepreneur. I considered that when I decided I would do jiu-jitsu, in my mind, I was already being one entrepreneur because I was the one like scheduling seminars to myself. I was the one doing everything to my. I didn't have like a job, That was my job was to generate revenue to myself somehow.
So you were booking the seminars and you were teaching the seminars.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
When I started my career as a black belt. Mm-hmm. So this is like being an entrepreneur, right? I had to figure out how to get seminars, go there, deliver a great service, and blah, blah, blah. So then when I moved to US, I had that in mind. I was like, I don't know for how long I'm going to compete. I was already getting tired because I was 27, 28. I had won the worlds like 2 or 3 times already. And I was already thinking like, man, what's going to be the next step? What's going to be the next step? What's going to be the next step? And then one day, Michael Zenga here from Boston invited me to make a DVD. And he was doing that kind of as a side gig for him, like a second job, as a little thing, more as a passion than actually like a real business. And but then when he invited me, I already had an offer from another company that I had pretty much signed the contracts already. So I had to reject the offer from Michael. But then, and that's kind of how BJJ Fanatics started. Because then he called me and he was like, hey, no worries about not doing the DVD with me, but I love your game, I love your style. I do half-guard, and I play half-guard, and I play over-under, which is 2 jiu-jitsu techniques. So why don't you come here and teach a seminar? And I organized the seminar for you, which was in BTT, where you train.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, man, that works. And then that was one of those life coincidences that my wife was going to every single seminar with me. So Michael was like, hey, if your wife comes, you stay in the hotel. I set up the hotel for you. But if she doesn't come, stay at my house because I have a mat on the basement. And then we can do a private before the seminar as well. And then my wife didn't go to that seminar, coincidence, like because she was going to everyone. And I stayed at Michael's house. And then I remember that very first night, we pretty much didn't sleep. We went to sleep at 5 a.m. Doing exactly what we were doing here right before the podcast. We were talking about everything and this and that. I was telling him how much I love this like entrepreneurial mindset and how much and blah, blah, blah. And he was showing me all the stuff that he had done in the past. So Michael is also like an entrepreneur. And he has one partner, which is also called Michael. So nowadays we are 3 and I have two partners who are called Michael. But anyways, Michael was showing me all the stuff that he had done in the past. And everything had digital marketing related somehow. But Michael was always the very like entrepreneurial type of guy. So he was not the one doing the digital marketing kind of. Yeah, so he would hire people to do the digital marketing. And he would do email marketing, that kind of stuff. But then he started telling me like, hey, Bernardo, the only reason I know you, it's not because you were world champion. It's because I was on YouTube and I watched one match of you versus one guy called DJ Jackson. That's a very hard guy to score points on. And I watched this match and I was like, man, this guy plays a style that I love. It's half guard and over under, blah, blah, blah. So that's the only reason I know you. It's not because World Championships. It's because YouTube. If it was not YouTube, I would never know who you are. And that was the click in my mind. And I was like, wait a second. He doesn't know me because I won all those tournaments. He knows me.
I worked so hard for those.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the match that he watched was one tournament. So so it's both are important, right? But then after that day, but then I didn't know how to start. You know, I was like, Michael, how do I even start learning digital marketing? This and that. I was like, I don't know that much either. I just know the basics, but I don't know, Facebook ads, email marketing, figure out. And then he told me about some books, and then I read some books. The first book I read was the 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, which is like a classic one for whoever's starting there. And that's one of the regrets. Tim Ferriss did a show at Marcelo's school right when I moved to US for 2 weeks, and that's one of the regrets I have in life. I hang out with him for pretty much 2 weeks, and I didn't ask him one question about business because I was not into business yet. Like, I was just doing jiu-jitsu. So all our conversations was about jiu-jitsu. You know, like, I don't even know if he remembers me back then. But anyways, so that's kind of how everything started. You know, like, and then I went back home after that, and I started playing around with Facebook ads, with posting stuff on it was Facebook page, right? That was the big deal at that time. And then I remember that I would put $2 per day. In my mind, I was like, I can grab an extra coffee every day. That's not going to hurt me. And so I was putting $2 per day, driving ads to highlights of one of my matches without any goal.
Call to action, nothing.
Just like to see what happens. And then I started noticing. I was like, wait a second. Normally I post and I get 5 comments. I post this with an ad and I got 40 comments. I'm like, man, this is getting some traction. And then I started thinking, like, how can I monetize this? Because I don't want to just, like, spend money on Facebook. And and then at that time, the way I was making a living was teaching jiu-jitsu, teaching privates, and teaching seminars. So I started running those ads
for your gym.
To my seminars. I didn't have a gym, but to my seminars. So I would put a highlight of me sweeping a guy, whatever. Hey, if you want to learn more about this sweep, I'm available for seminars, and send me an email. Didn't even have a button. It was just like my email in the copy.
But I love this because you just prove, all right, you didn't have a fancy funnel. You didn't have
nothing.
A landing page.
Send me an email and reply an email.
Yeah.
And then I started getting seminars. And then at that time, Michael and we were talking on the phone almost every day. We became friends. And he would call me to ask me half and over 100 questions. And I would call him to tell him all these experiments that I was doing. You know, and he was getting excited, you know, like. So then Michael started asking me the right questions, you know, because I started telling him, I was like, man, I got 3 seminars with this post that I run ads. And then Michael was like, man, just my curiosity, how much you spend on ads? I was like, $50 total, because it was like $2 per day for 30 days. How many seminars you got? I was like, I closed 3 this month or whatever. Because that post, I was like, they sold the post. And how much did you charge for the seminar? I was like, $2,500 at that time. That was the price. Yeah. $2,000, $2,500. I was like, wait a second. You were spending $50
and you're making
$7,000. And I was like, I think so, but I mean, like, I'm traveling there as well. Like, it's just I'm putting my time on it. I'm traveling.
It was not just in Boston.
It's not like put money here, make money here. No, and then he was like, man, that's interesting. That's very interesting. And that was the best part in the story, in my opinion. And that shows like how Michael is also like an entrepreneur. Michael's like, bro, let's do something here. I'm going to send you a $1,000 check to your house. Spend everything on Facebook. I don't care how. I don't care what's your goal. And just write down everything that happened. And tell me everything that happened. And then that was the very first money that came to me that was not through fighting. And that was because all what I had done in my life before was fighting. You know, like, was getting sweat, you know, like, or teaching, which is also fighting, right? Like, so I was like, man, that's interesting. And then I got a check, I put on Facebook, and then my Facebook page went to like 50,000 followers. I don't know, because I was running. You probably know, like, ads to get likes, which is like to get followers, you know. And I got a ton of followers. Then I went to find out that doesn't mean anything as well.
Because it's not. It doesn't mean that people that follow you will actually see the
post. But anyways, I was getting traction, you know, like, and I was getting a ton of traction there. And then I was telling him, and then Michael was like, man, I think we have a business here. And then he had the first idea. He was like, why don't you create a website that we sell one product per day? Because he had sold one product on another website that would do something like that and did well.
When you say product, meaning a DVD?
A DVD.
Oh,
a DVD.
Okay.
One
so
of the
physical DVD.
At that point, he had done like 3 or 4 DVDs, I think. 3, 4, or 5.
So
And
he was shipping, putting the stuff, the tutorial on the DVD, the instructional on the DVD.
and he would ship the DVD.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was like, man, why don't you create a website that will sell 1 DVD per day? Because we only have 4. And then the day 5, we sell day product 1 again. And we go like that. And you do this thing that you're doing, like keep doing this, like this might be working, like, and that's kind of how we started. And at first was BJJ Super Deals, which was a daily deal, and that was great because it helped us to see in a very deep level what sells and what doesn't, because we would put the product for 1 day, and we would see the sales of that day. So some days would sell very well, some days would sell very bad, and then we would question ourselves like, why this day this product, so that was very helpful. And then at some point we had the daily deal, and then I started noticing, I loved like analyzing the stuff, analyzing the data and this and that. I started noticing that sometimes people would buy the daily deal, and they would also go to the landing page of the DVD that we had launched and buy the DVD over there. So I was like, wait a second, they have to go to one website to buy the daily deal. And then in the same day, it would happen sometimes that they would go to the other website, which was a landing page, and buy the other thing. So I was like, man, we should have one place, one platform that we have everything on it. Like we have the daily deal, we have the launch, we have the old products. Because it was like, in the beginning, it was kind of like a bunch of different URLs, like this URL, kind of like the ClickFunnels model. Like this URL for this DVD, that URL for that DVD, that URL for that DVD. And then I realized that we should have like a platform, like one place that you can find the new products, the old products, and the daily deal. And that's where BJJ Fanatics came from.
Started.
So,
man, that's a crazy, great story.
It's a nice story
because it just proves that you don't have to have it all figured out. You can just you test one thing at a time, and then in this case, right, selling an online course was really not a thing back then, especially definitely not.
There were some websites doing that, but
definitely not in the BJJ community. Like people were not necessarily selling online courses at the time.
And I remember that with the little bit knowledge that I had about the Facebook, I would see some competitors and I would go to the website and I would see that they didn't even have pixel, meaning like the face. They were not running. So I was like, oh my God, these guys are doing well and they don't even run ads. Like,
can you imagine if they can do some retargeting and some other stuff?
So that's another part of the history that is very interesting as well. I was a professional athlete back then. So when we started, I was teaching, training, and doing this. But in jiu-jitsu, it's impossible to train 8 hours per day. Like if you train really hard, you train probably like 2 or 3 hours per day. And then I was teaching another 2 or 3 hours per day. And you know how jiu-jitsu schedule is, right? There's class in the morning, class at night. So I had my afternoon free. I wouldn't go back home because it was like 25 minutes and was not worth it. And to take a train, I was living in New York City, right? To take a subway. So I had my afternoon free that I was literally like sitting on coffee shops, checking people's Instagram. That was my everyday thing. So when I found this passion for marketing, I was like, man, I can fit. During this time, I can study, I can run experiments, I can try stuff. And so in the beginning, it was like in the morning, I would teach jiu-jitsu and train. In the afternoon, study this stuff and try stuff. And then at night, teach jiu-jitsu again and train again. And then coincidence, we started the website November 2014. 2015 was the best year of my career. It was the year that I was the number one athlete in jiu-jitsu. And in my opinion, was also because until 2014, I had so much pressure on myself that I have to win to make a living. And
jiu-jitsu,
and then 2015, I was like, now I have a second. I was way more relaxed to compete, and
you can approach it differently because now you knew.
Now I would literally compete in jiu-jitsu almost like live or die. I will either win or I die. And then in 2015, I was competing more because I love competing and the
game.
So yeah,
that's legit, man. That's the story really proves the fact that all right, you don't need to have it all figured out. You learn it as you go, and it's just important to just have this analogy of do more of what works and do less of what doesn't work.
Brando.
Yeah, and especially because I think especially in this technology world, things are changing so fast. So, for example, back then, Facebook ads was the thing, was the most important thing. Nowadays, it's not, it is important, but it's just like a small portion of everything,
so many other things like YouTube ads,
yeah,
TikTok ads, Instagram direct message ads, and all the rest in between. All right, so now let's talk about how you guys actually started to approach the first different athletes. So instead of just being yourself or your partner, Michael, that was kind of recording the DVDs, how did you come up with the idea thinking, oh, maybe I spend more time kind of advertising and making the sale or generating sales for the business, and then let me outsource the recording to some other athletes, but then it's travel involved because then you have to travel and convince other people. How was the athlete community, the BJJ athlete community, even receiving the idea of, hey, let's record an instructional together. You'll be on our platform, and then we'll do a split share, whatever the percentage is. Did they have to, or actually we'll take one step at a time?
Yeah, so the way we kind of work is like we are 3 partners, right? So this is a good story as well, because it shows like how when you split, you do better. But Michael, there are 2 Michaels, right? The one who does jiu-jitsu I call Michael, the other one I call Mike. So Michael and Mike were partners on other stuff that nothing was the size of this thing, but they had other business as well. Yeah. So when we started, Mike was handling the other stuff from Michael, and to free Michael's time to do this. And I was a professional athlete, and I have extra time, as I said, in the afternoon to do this as well.
Yeah.
So when we started, Michael came to me and was like, hey, let's work on this, and we do 50-50. And then a few months later, we were making some money, and then I remember asking him, I was like, hey, Michael, are you happy with what you're making? And let's say that we made like $5,000 each, right? One example. I don't remember how much was that. And I was like, man, $2,500 is good, but I was like, why $2,500? I don't understand. I was like, man, I have another partner, and I'm sharing with him. I was like, I didn't know about that. Like, I thought that was like just me and you. And he was like, no, man, in order for me to work on this, he's handling the other stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, man, this is not right. And then when I said that, he might even have thought like that I was trying to push the other one away. I was like, man, this is not right. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, man, I'm making 50, you are making 25. Like, man, let's split everything. We do 33, 33, 33. And it was like, really? I was like, and in my mind, I was like, man, 50% of nothing is nothing. 33% of nothing is nothing. 50% of a lot is going to be a lot. 33% of a lot is going to still be a lot. So why don't you split for... So that's kind of how we started. And then the way it worked was more like I was a professional athlete, and I was training kind of full time. So I couldn't be traveling all over the place to film with people, to meet people, because I was focused on my career. So I was pretty much doing the internet type of thing. So I was doing the marketing, I was doing the data, I was analyzing the website all day long to figure out what could we do better. Michael was doing more like the relationships and going to meet the instructors.
And record the tutorials with them?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
And the other Mike was, in the beginning, literally just handling Michael's stuff, And then with the growth of the website, nowadays, the other Mike does a bunch of stuff as well. He does all the finance stuff. He takes care of a lot of the operation. I'm the face of the website. I do all the marketing, and I also help with the relationships. And Michael does more like the relationships. So... And works really well this way, because I think also I'm being the face of the website is better for me to. It was better to have Michael dealing with
sure.
That. And we all talk internally and this and that. And so the idea was kind of let's partner up with the instructors, and split the profits with them, and I mean, like, it's good for everybody, it's good for them. It's just like a win-win deal. So 100%. The whole idea of the business is to do win-win deals with everybody, and try to provide as much value for them as possible. And that's the idea.
100%. Because the way that I look at them, the way that I look at the way that you approach is, like, now you have the platform, you have the huge audience of buyers, not just people that come and check a YouTube channel. You actually have data of people that bought significant amount of courses.
Yep.
So now when you go and partner up with somebody, I'm sure it's hard for someone to say no, because nowadays, unless somebody doesn't understand how digital marketing works and the client acquisition and then how long it takes for someone to become a customer and all that, now you present the data, and pretty much an athlete is like, not that it's impossible for them to build their own audience, but it's so much better with this win-win scenario, because you already have the data, you already have, what people kind of buy, so it's easier in a way to approach people nowadays. But then back then, how was kind of athletes responding to this? Like,
so for example, when I made a DVD with another company, the deal was that I would get 10%. And
so they would take the
90
rest.
and 10, and they gave me money up front. But it's not really smart, because then I don't have any incentive to promote the products, even though I did promote. So when you find the spot where it's good for both sides, they want to also promote the products, so that's kind of what we try to do. Like, the bread and butter of the thing is, like, find a way to make them win, and provide as much value as we can to the instructors. And I think, like, our mission with the business, it is like help and improve the jiu-jitsu community and the other communities that we work with, like wrestling and this and that, through education, experience, and high quality products. So doing what we do, we are helping the customers and we are helping the instructors. So we're helping both sides.
100%. And then, so I've noticed on the website, and by the way, guys, in case you're not familiar with what website we're talking about, it's bjjfanatics.com. And this was actually the website that I purchased, the first 10 plus courses. As I was kind of geeking out into the jiu-jitsu game, I was like, but I'm a white belt. In the first month, what do I even buy? How do I I know I search for how to defend the back take, but do I need that, or I need just a way to know how to not get smashed at the beginning, right? Like, I didn't even know what to search for. But then, as I was going through a couple, I think I bought your Jiu-Jitsu Fundamental course. Then the site was recommending me, hey, if you bought this, you might want to check this other course. So then, from a fundamental to another, then I kind of geeking out to that. Then, of course, I fall into buying some more advanced courses that I started watching, and I'm like, I don't necessarily understand now. So let me put this on a shelf and come back in 2 months when I actually learned the position of. And then I was going back to that. And I'm like, now it makes sense. It didn't make sense two months before. So how are you guys coming up with what techniques to learn? Is it based on the feed? With what techniques to record, and to kind of what athlete to go and ask them to partner up with you guys?
So we try to be a platform, so we try to, I think the goal in this education part is kind of like partner up with the instructor and let he bring his vision to the world. Mm-hmm. So we try to not tell them what to do. We let them do what they want to do.
Gotcha.
And so I think that's kind of the idea, because, for example, many times they're almost like, in jiu-jitsu, they're almost like magicians, So we don't want to get on their way and tell them, don't do this, do that. Let them do whatever they want to do. And many times they're so good, but so good, but so good, that it's really hard for them to screw up. It's almost like if you were doing marketing for 20 years, I trust that you're going to do a great job. I don't want to tell you what to do, So we try to be a platform for them and let them. Then if they ask questions, hey, what should I film? Then we try to help. Hey, with your style, I think this might do well. This might do okay.
Or this product goes really well has been doing well for the last year.
And then they ask basic questions as well. How long should be the content? How many? So we try to help. But if they show up and say, hey, I want to film this amount of techniques, this amount of time, this, great, let's do it. So that's really, well, in my opinion, it's really smart. It's almost like, I remember Mr. Beast, like the big huge YouTuber, was talking about this when it comes to brands reaching out to creators to promote a product. He said, I mean, if I already have 100 million subscribers, I know what I'm doing on YouTube. Exactly. Yeah.
The brand should not tell me what to say in a video.
Yeah, so that's the point. If this guy is an instructor and he built 5 world champions underneath him, I don't want to tell him what to do. He should be the one that. Or if this guy won the worlds, I don't know how many times using that technique. Yeah. Just teach the technique, so that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So then they record the instructional, and then in terms of, because I've noticed sometimes, I mean not sometimes, I get, in a way you probably do it simultaneously. You promote or you have the athlete, if they already have an audience, to kind of promote the product as well, and then you promote it on your end because you already have the data of the buyers and you have I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of emails, like the email list. Because at the end of the day, the power is in the list that you have, and you guys been a platform for so long, you already have that data, right?
Nowadays, I think even more than that, I think it's in the trust as well. So I think the customers trust us because we the brand, I mean, like they know that we're in business for a very long time. We have like a great, everybody likes us. We try to treat everybody super well and this and that. And at the end of the day, the whole community knows that, So that helps a lot as well, and it's just who we are, So we always try to treat the customers very well, the instructors very well, and then
kind of things flow from that point even better. I love it. And other things that I've noticed, like I told you, I'm geeking out and looking up all the stuff that you guys are doing on the back end. I realized you guys started to promote now boot camps and also some type of. I don't know if it's not necessarily a coaching package. It's more of a membership option where people can submit their own videos and the coach and
so we are always trying to talk with the customers. So for example, 2 months ago, I literally called 20 customers and they were like, Bernardo, and I talked to them. So I'm always trying to research like what they want. Because at the end of the day, we serve them, right? We serve them and we serve the instructor. So
that's smart. Not a lot of people do this.
Yeah, so we try to do whatever the customers want us doing. And then one thing we notice is that they would love to have more interaction with the instructors. So then I was like, why don't we run camps? And we bring the customers and we bring the instructors, and we create content. And then we also created this area in the website, which is different than the instructions videos we have, but we have AMA, we have like a match analysis, like the customers upload the video, then one of the instructors comes and analyze what they were doing and this and that. So we're always trying to innovate on according with what the customers want.
So people upload their own sparring footage, their own roles?
The customers, and then we get one of the instructors to go there and analyze what they were doing. We should be doing this, should be doing that. And then we have Ask Me Anything. Then we have like a funny interview. Many times you see interviews on YouTube, and it's always the same questions, like how did you start jiu-jitsu? How did you do this? How did you do that? This one is like ask crazy weird questions to the instructors, because they want to. I realized it talking to the customers that they want to have more like a personalized conversation access to. So we created this area of the website as well, and so we are always trying to figure out ways to deliver what the community wants, and that's kind of like the idea.
How did people respond to the uploading the footage? I remember I did it. Well, this was more of a private one-on-one with someone in the MMA community last year, and I was sending the footage. And then when I saw it on your website, I'm like, damn, this is smart, because a lot of people would want like a high level competitor to look at their footage and then see what they.
Yeah. So for example, you're still a little bit in the beta mode because, for example, we are not doing that for every customer and every instructor. So the way we are doing so far is kind of like one video per month. We pick one customer random that uploaded a video. We upload there. We take one instructor and we do this. And I mean, like in jiu-jitsu, I don't know how many times, like when I was younger, I got sick and I couldn't train. And instead of staying at home, I went to the gym, I sat on the mat and I watched it. So you learn a lot by watching. So just the fact that we are picking one video from one person and putting one instructor to fix how many mistakes that guy is doing, that you are also doing, and you're going to learn because... So another thing we are doing in this area of the website is the voiceover. A lot of guys asked us, a lot of customers asked, like, I would love to have someone rolling and explaining what they're doing. And it would be crazy hard to do that on every single instructional video. So in this area of the website, we have few of the instructors rolling and doing voiceover on what they were thinking when they were rolling. But the bottom line is to do what the customers want, and we try to talk with the customers through surveys, through meeting people. Like you are the customer, you are one customer, so I can finish the call here and ask you. So through conversations, through surveys, and through phone calls.
100%. No, that's really good. What have you noticed? Because you guys are doing it at scale now, right? Like you have an international audience. What have you noticed? It's one of the best performing mediums now. Is it email marketing? Is it the best ROI you're getting from Facebook ads? Is it mainly through, I don't know, upsells, or maybe when a new competition ends and then you promote a product that has to do with that? So like
what I see happening is, like, when we started the website, Facebook ads was the main thing, and I'm glad we got that time in the beginning because we could take advantage of that, right? But for example, when we started, you would put like $100 and make $300, like that. And then there was a point that wouldn't work anymore. Like if you go over a certain budget, your niche doesn't sustain that. Yeah. So in the beginning, Facebook ads was the king. Now I think things are a lot harder, but it's kind of good news for who built a brand, because I think the way I see this nowadays, it's a little bit of everything. So you kind of gotta be everywhere and doing everything, and then it becomes expensive. So whoever built the brand before that phase, I think it gets a little easier. But
because you already built, you kind of acquired the data.
Yeah, because I think nowadays you gotta have the YouTube channel, you gotta have the Facebook page, you gotta do Facebook ads, you gotta do YouTube ads, you gotta have podcasts, you gotta sponsor, you gotta do everything. And I think many years ago, Facebook was 80% of that. So as long as you were doing Facebook ads, you were good. Enough. And nowadays it's not anymore. So it's much harder.
Gotcha. Brando. All right. What's the next level for BJJ Fanatics? And I know you guys already branched out into different, like you went into striking, right? Like you recently just launched a course with Mike Tyson, right? Is it live? Yeah, it's live already.
Yeah, we try to replicate BJJ Fanatics on other fighting websites as well. So we built Dynamic Striking, we built Fanatic Wrestling, because, for example, we want to have them separate, because we want to make sure that whoever goes to BJJ Fanatics, it's going there to learning jiu-jitsu, and they have the best experience about jiu-jitsu possible. But with that being said, we do have some wrestling videos there, we do have some striking videos there. And then if someone buys a wrestling video, all the marketing is about jiu-jitsu. So we should have a wrestling website. So we built a wrestling website. Then we built a striking website. Then we built like a conditioning website. And so our goal is to keep growing like horizontal like that, building more websites. But in the same time, like there's a lot more to do in jiu-jitsu, I think. So for example, learning that the customers want more interaction with the instructors, why we are not doing camps. So we are starting to run camps now. And the
next one is coming up in a few months.
And then, for example, one time when I called the customers, 3 or 4 of them told me like, "Oh, I'd love to buy a T-shirt from you guys." I was like, "We don't sell T-shirts." I was like, "Why don't you sell?"
You do sponsor a lot of events, right? A lot of
we do. Yeah. So now we started a website for apparel as well. So just so they want to buy your T-shirt and we don't have a T-shirt. So it's unbelievable.
It's crazy if you think about it.
Yeah. So
actually, that's another. Like, you guys sponsor a lot of the athletes that kind of are instructors.
we don't sponsor the athletes because we wouldn't make sense. Like we have so many, and we don't want to sponsor this guy and not sponsor that guy. But a bunch of them, they're so happy with how things are going that they put the logo and promoting the website. The website is going to get more traffic. They will probably sell more. And also, like Gordon Ryan, for example, he has the logo on his rash gear, and we are very thankful as well, because we never asked him to do that. And so there are a few guys that they use the brand.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you this. When after the big competition, so ADCC was just a few weeks ago, do you apply a different strategy based on like any big competition that's happened? Like, for example, after or during ADCC or right before, do you push the budget on the no-gi courses or do stuff like that? Or
not that deep, because I think the jiu-jitsu audience is not that huge. That makes a huge difference. But we normally run some promotional sales and so we did that. But I mean, like I don't jiu-jitsu. I don't think it's like a fitness, like that. I have a friend that built a fitness website and fitness app, blah blah blah. And when I talk with him, like, we are trying to reach X million people, and he's trying to reach half of the planet. It's like, because fitness for a woman, and like every woman wants to lose weight. Like, so it's a different type of game, for him, probably make sure to go crazy deep on niches inside fitness. For us, jiu-jitsu is the niche, like there,
Yeah, and I get, in a way, I feel like it's getting more and more mainstream now, especially in the last 3-4 years. It got so much bigger than it used to be before.
It is growing up.
But all right, so I always like to leave people listening or watching with two main tasks. One thing that they can do at the end of the interview, and one thing that they can do in the long term, like next 3 to 6 months. So for people that are, let's say, maybe in a different industry, not necessarily just fitness related, and they plan to go online, because you guys transition from selling seminars in person and trying to just grow the Jiu-Jitsu Academy into selling online courses into an industry that has not done it, not necessarily at all before, but has done it very little. So someone that wants to go from offline to online, what's your advice now as a marketer, as a business owner that can help? Because you even though you are in the fitness related industry, because jiu-jitsu is part of the, I feel like we can learn from so many other industries, so many different things to go outside the box.
Yep.
And that kind of thing. What would you recommend someone that wants to do that?
The question is like someone who is offline to go online.
Yeah.
I would say get started with something that you like, because nowadays there are so many channels, right? And if you get traction in one channel, you might be able to build something around that. So for example, there is a chance that you hate podcasts, but you're a great writer. So you start writing articles on your website. Your website is going to get more traffic because SEO from Google, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe you hate podcasts, you hate writing, but you take great pictures. So an inspiration type of pictures. So build your Instagram, Or maybe you don't like podcasts, you don't like writing, you're horrible with pictures, but you feel you do a good job making a video. So make a bunch of videos, build a YouTube channel, and I think start somewhere, be present online somewhere. Could
just
be
pick
through
one platform.
Could be through radio, podcasts, or it could be through nice pictures, inspirational, motivation, blah blah blah. Instagram could be through writing and SEO, Google, blah blah. Could be through videos, YouTube, but try to get started somewhere. And start building some audience there, and then try to talk with your audience and see how can you serve them. I think that's the idea.
Gotcha. So maybe I'll categorize this. So first, if you have an audience, try to ask them like a short term, something that they can do at the end of the episode. Maybe ask them what's the kind of best approach, like the way that you did it, because you start calling, and at this level, you guys are huge, and you still took the time to call a couple of customers and ask them.
Yeah, we are always talking to the customers, either by calling or survey, or just you are one customer, so I can talk to you. I can go to my jiu-jitsu school, figure out whoever have bought a video, and ask hey, how was the experience? How could we do better? And be humble to listen, Yeah, so I think
That would be-
build an audience somehow on some channel and try to figure out with the audience what could we be doing to serve them. I think the word is serving, because at the end of the day, we're serving the audience, right? We're
100%.
making structural videos and selling to
helping
them.
them achieve whatever the goal is. Sweet, awesome, man. And then if people want to check out the websites, and I know you mentioned, the main one is bjjfanatics.com, but can you list all the other ones so in case people want to check them out?
The main one is bjjfanatics.com, dynamicstriking.com, fanaticwrestling.com, judofanatics.com, and strongandfit.com.
Oh wow, so it's really.
That's why, 5 are the main ones. There are a couple more, but they're not as big as those.
Gotcha. And then if people want to reach out to maybe you personally for, I don't know, podcasting or things like that, what's your favorite platform for people to go?
Either probably like a message on Instagram or something like that.
Instagram message.
Every now and then I check the inbox and the other one. So
100%.
I think Instagram might be the easiest way to find.
At Bernardo Faria?
Bernardo Faria BJJ. Yeah.
Bernardo Faria BJJ. Awesome, brother. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time to share all of this with us. Do you feel like is anything that we have missed maybe to mention on the show regarding what you guys have done?
No. I want to ask you a bunch of questions, but I think our audience knows a lot about you already. So
we'll dive into that in a second right after the episode.
There you go.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Brando.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Brand Out Podcast. I hope you found this episode helpful, and hopefully you'll implement it, because knowledge without action means nothing, as we all know, right? Now, if you're inspired to build an unstoppable brand that conquers, sells, and implement a predictable client acquisition system, my Brand Up Accelerator program is here to help you do just that. So what we do inside the Accelerator, it's a 9-step process. So first step is, of course, we have to do an assessment and understand exactly where your brand is at. Do you need help with implementing it within your business, or you need help with separating your personal brand from your business? I think that's really important. Step number 2 is we do a little bit of goal setting, because we have to understand where we are, but then we need to know where we're going to go. Step 3 is we do a brand development strategy. Number 4 is the client acquisition plan itself, because we need to know how we're going to acquire customers, what is the offer looking like, things like that. Step number 5 is the content creation and also the platforms that you need to focus. Some people need to focus just on one, some people need to focus on multiple, depending how big the team is, depending, how many resources they have. Number 6 is collaborations and possible podcast connections. Number 7 is the sales process. Number 8 is paid ads, because up until point 7, we pretty much build the fire, and the paid ads, in my opinion, is literally the gasoline that you pour on top of it. And number 9, we implement and refine, because we need to understand what works and do more of that. So if you're ready to take your personal brand and business to the new heights, head over to brandupaccelerator.com to learn more and apply now. Thanks again for listening, guys, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
Brando.